Thank you for your company. Let's settle for the first story. And President Akakpo has, in the last 24 hours, been meeting representatives of the diplomatic community in Ghana, and he did not mince words asking for their help with Chinese negotiations. He, however, failed to address the key conditions the German ambassador laid out, including a reduction in government expenditure.
We acknowledge the reality of the fact that our economy is in considerable difficulty. The budget drawn for the 2022 fiscal year was thrown out of gear, disrupting our balance of payments and debt sustainability, and further exposing the structural weaknesses of our economy. We have gone to the International Monetary Fund to repair in the short term our public finances and restore our balance of payments, while we continue to work on the medium to long-term structural changes that are at the heart of our goal of constructing a resilient, robust Ghanaian economy and building a Ghana beyond aid. Just as we managed to achieve a staff-level agreement with the fund in record time in December last year, whose terms we are systematically fulfilling, including the difficult but ultimately highly successful process of the domestic debt exchange program. I'm confident that with the cooperation we are receiving from members of the Paris Club and the People's Republic of China, which has sent a delegation from China's Exim Bank to Accra over the weekend to meet with officials of the Ministry of Finance, we shall be able to go to the board of the fund to conclude finally the agreement by the end of March. This will set the stage for the strong recovery of Ghana's economy. Needless to say, we would hope that all Ghana's friends would weigh in with words of support at the fund.
Well, the Lands Commission says it has handed over management of its software system to a private firm following manipulation by some employees, which resulted in an estimated theft of 100 million Ghana cedis. 16 of the 21-member gang fingered for theft are employees of the commission and have already been slapped with charges of stealing and money laundering at an Accra High Court. Joseph Akakpo now reports.
16 of the 21-member gang have been arraigned while 5 others are on the run. 10 of the 16 employees of the Lands Commission have been interdicted, while a decision is yet to be taken on the remaining 6. They are alleged to have manipulated a system enabling them to show proof of payment of stamp duties and other charges while keeping the checks for themselves. James Dodson is Executive Secretary of the Lands Commission.
We believe that the courts will deal with this matter and come to the expected conclusions. We, on our part, as our part of the Commission's processes in a situations like this, when it gets to the point where we have sufficient information to place a staff on interdiction, we do that. And that is the point where we've gotten to at the moment. Thank you. Not all of them, it's a process. So once we've dealt with a particular case, and it merits interdiction, we will effect that accordingly. And so currently not all of them are on interdiction.
Are you able to put a number out of the 16? How many have been interdicted?
Currently we are at 10. Yes. But the others are also, as I said, even the investigations are still ongoing.
Deputy Executive Secretary Jones Ofoibuedu says the system has been handed over to a private firm to manage it in the interim.
The software, I must say that we developed that software in-house. The Enterprise Land Information System was developed in-house, and we've used it, in our processes, and it's been quite effective. Now, what we've done after we discovered this is to move that platform to a firm to move the management of the platform to a firm to manage it for us. So that would help us to safeguard, some of these more practices. But that is in the interim. In the long term, what we intend to do as part of the land reform project that we're doing at the Lands Commission is to change the entire software. Currently, we're operating on an open source software platform, but we want to move it to a proprietary software platform when we start the land reform project. So that is in the long term. But in the interim, we've moved the platform to a firm who is managing it for us now. So it's not the in-house team that is managing it anymore.
The commission is meanwhile yet to decide whether to interdict the remaining 6 of its employees as internal investigations continue.
Well, on now to our next story, and the Electoral Commission is working with the Office of the Attorney General to develop a new constitutional instrument that will create a constituency for the people of Santo Kofi, Akakpo, Likpe, and Lologbe in the Oti region to vote in the 2024 parliamentary election. The Electoral Commission, in a release issued on the eve of the 2020 elections, excluded SAL from the processes. Now, although voters in the SAL traditional areas were allowed to vote in the Buem constituency for the presidential elections, they were directed by the EC not to participate in the parliamentary elections. Deputy Chairman of the EC, Dr. Bosman Asari, says the process is underway to create a new constituency for SAL.
The reason why they didn't vote for a member of parliament, the LI that created the district, it passed the parliament somewhere 2020, November 9th.
Okay.
So when the EC got the notification, it wasn't possible for the EC to lay a CI to create a constituency. So I've been hearing people blaming the EC for why they don't have a member of parliament. The EC has nothing to do with that. So when the parliament passed the LI, creating the district, in about a week or so, the parliament even went on recess for the 2020 elections. So the EC had no hand in why they didn't have a constituency.
So it was not an oversight?
It wasn't an oversight.
You didn't deliberately seek to
when you say deliberately, maybe we knew about it. The question must go to parliament. The time they passed the LI, creating that particular district. So the EC, and as we speak now, the EC is working with the AG's office to have a CI creating that particular constituency.
But the AG believes that they should be voting at Buem rather.
You know, per our law, once a district is created, when you look at the law very well, a district can have 2 MPs. A district can have 2 members of parliament. Like a place like, Cape Coast, the Cape Coast Metro. The Metro has 2 members of parliament. But a constituency cannot be in 2 districts. An MP cannot represent 2 districts. So when you say they should vote at Buem, that means the MP for Buem will also be representing, will be the same person representing the people of the Guan district.
Okay.
So that's not possible.
Now, is this, this interpretation, there is the view that what really should happen is that Article 47(2) provides that a constituency must not fall within more than 1 region. It has nothing to do with the district.
It has nothing to do with the district, but I know the local government law. The local government law also says that 1 MP cannot represent 2 districts. So although that one is more or less like not the parent law, it's still a law we are working with. So we at the commission believe that their constituency should be created so that in 2024 they will also vote for their member of parliament.
Okay, I get your point. So will we create it before the 2024
no, it will be created before. The processes are
when should they expect it?
The processes,
because people are losing their votes. People want to know whether they can contest those seats.
No, the processes have begun.
So, for example, if I'm an NDC person seeking, among other things, to go to parliament on the ticket of SAL, can I start?
I'm surprised you are not using CPP or PPP.
No, I'm talking about the ones who have opened their nominations now. Because the NDC have done so.
Yes.
Can I go and pick a form and file to actually constitute? Because there's no constituency.
The processes are ongoing, and we expect to have a meeting with the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament. Once that meeting is had, then certainly the CI will be laid.
This year?
Yeah. The processes have begun.
Okay.
In our next story, Love News investigations have revealed recent footage of River Ankobra regaining its ecological integrity is a mirage, as Shangfan operators mine directly on the riverbed at various sections close to Axim and Prestia Heman in the western region. It was found that recent green pictures taken by government officials at the Ankobra estuary are a momentary phenomenon of the sea pushing back the river at high tide. The major water source has turned thick and murky at the Prestia Heman source and polluted along the Axim Trail to the estuary. But how did a momentary high tide from the sea become the cover story of a highly polluted river? The Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group, an NGO, and the multimedia group sent Erastus Asaridonko on a fact-finding mission.
Rising northeast of Sefioso in the western north region, the river Ankobra flows about 190 kilometers south to the Gulf of Guinea. About 2 weeks ago, pictures of a green-looking river Ankobra taken at the Sangoma estuary in Axim took over social media. The taglines indicated government's illegal mining fight was gaining ground with the clearing of the river. We set out on a fact-finding mission on the flow path of the Ankobra. After hours on the road, we hit the coastal town of Axim. We proceeded to Sangoma or Ankobra town, where the river meets the sea. This is where pictures of the green Ankobra were taken. Instead of a green-looking river, we saw a dirty-looking Ankobra polluting the green sea. Residents here share how they feel about assertions that the Ankobra has regained its former glory.
Why is it that they are saying something which is untruthful to the nation, to the public? Because they should have told the public the truth that the river is totally bad, but it is because of the high tide of the sea that is coming through the river water. So that one looks a little bit clear, and they took that picture. So I feel very bad.
Green out to March. April, May. Next to from yellow one abba. Next year from January, February, March, still so yellow no. I
am sitting in the middle of two great water bodies. To my left is the sea, and to my right is the river Ankobra. Behind me is the estuary. This is where the two meet. Now there is this confusion over whether the Ankobra is clearing and it is green, and we've seen some green videos of the Ankobra right from this point. Those pictures were taken. Now let me explain to you. At high tide, the sea here, which is green, washes over. All this place gets flowing with seawater, and it washes over the Ankobra to that end. The sea is green. The river Ankobra is yellowish now. It covers it. The whole place is green. Beautiful, isn't it? That is what we expect the river Ankobra to look like. Unfortunately, it doesn't look that way. This is the real color of the Ankobra as we speak. Polluted right from the source. It ends this controversy. But if anybody is serious about this, this is a serious pollution matter. Because as you look at the estuary, even close to the sea, you can see the color of the sea from this point right up there, as far as the drone can see, turning yellow in the color of the Ankobra. until we see a high tide, which they say is 2 hours away, which will wash the sea green water over the Ankobra. The situation is a highly polluted Ankobra, which is now polluting the sea. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Ankobra, Western Region.
Now, District Chief Executive of Esutifi North, Anthony Mensah, says the Assembly is strengthening its bylaws to improve sanitation in the communities. The district has also put in measures to prosecute offenders of the sanitation bylaws. Speaking during the maiden cleanup exercise initiated by staff of the Assembly and supported by other state organizations, Mr. Mensah appealed to the residents to embrace the need to keep their surroundings clean. Precious Sebevo has more.
According to the Esutifi North District Assembly, they are practicing the ANAM initiative, which means Esutifi North Ahunidie Mpuntuo to weight water, sanitation and hygienic development in the district. After achieving about 89% of water coverage in the district, the target now is to improve sanitation in the communities. And to achieve that, the Assembly staff with other stakeholders has set aside the last Tuesday of every month to embark on a cleanup exercise with a maiden edition for February at Kenyase 1 and 2. Anthony Mensah is the district chief executive.
Looking at the whole thing, we could see that with regards to water, the district is doing very well. So as part of our strategies to deal with the sanitation aspect, we as an assembly has decided to use this year, we'll embark on sanitation activities. The assembly will lead to help in making sure that we get proper sanitation in Esutifi North, especially the district capital and then the other communities like Ntotroso, Jetu and Wamahinso.
Some residents looked unconcerned during the exercise, but Mr. Mensah said the Assembly is strengthening its sanitation bylaws and offenders would face the laws.
We have a bylaw that governs the Assembly with regards to sanitation. And so we are going to strengthen our bylaws, making sure that everybody abides by the bylaw. One aspect that I have to stress is, the shop owners, because in front of their shops, those areas are the places that we see the filthy in the gutters and other things. So we are going to make sure that they take charge, they become responsible for whatever that happens in their shops, and then the sanitation department of our assembly will also be strengthened for them to also take charge of that. We are trying to also have a word with a judge here that cases of such nature will be sent to them. So when they come, they should try and also make sure that they follow what is in the bylaw for us to be able to allow people to understand why we want to ensure proper sanitation.
Stephen Barr, an assembly member for the Menchiabi electoral area, anticipates an increase in residents' participation in the future.
Basis, and it's going to help us. It's true that the assembly staff and other institutional staff are being taken part. This is the first time, so starting something afresh is something that you get all the people being involved. As time goes on, I think all of them will come on board so that we do the cleanup exercise.
Apesimankahene of Kenyase No. 1 Traditional Council, Nana Kwame Yeboah Suama, said they will offer support to sustain the initiative and appealed to the residents to join them.
The owners actually rested on the traditional council to make this move, but they couldn't yield the needed dividends. But now that the assembly has come in, I think we'll go all out to ensure that community members actually embrace the idea and participate. Well, we as members of the council are ready to participate at the end of every month. So just let our people understand that if we are playing that lead role, they actually support us to make Kenyase a better place to live.
Precious Semevo, Joy News, Kenyase.
And on that note of cleanliness, we wrap the AM News. But stay with us in the next few minutes. We bring you the news review with energy analyst Kojo Poku. Stay.